On a cold February night in 1959, deep in the frozen wilderness of the Ural Mountains in Soviet Russia, 9 experienced hikers embarked on an expedition that would tragically become one of the most baffling and terrifying mysteries in modern history. Known today as the Dyatlov Pass Incident, this story has haunted investigators, conspiracy theorists, and adventurers for decades. But this was no ordinary expedition. Each member was a highly skilled outdoorsman, meticulously chosen for their expertise and resilience. What could possibly have gone so catastrophically wrong that not a single one of them made it back alive? Tonight we'll dive deep into every detail, every theory, and every haunting question that remains unanswered. Led by Igor Dyatlov, a 23-year-old engineering student at the Ural Polytechnic Institute, the group consisted of 8 men and 2 women. Each member brought something unique to the team. Zinaida Komogorova, known for her endurance, Rustem Slobodin, a skilled athlete, and Yuri Yudin, who had an innate connection to nature, just to name a few. They were bound not just by their shared goal, but by their unwavering friendship. Their plan was ambitious, but carefully thought out. Starting from Vizhai, the last inhabited village before the wilderness, they would trek to the Orderton Mountains, known for its harsh conditions. The trek was classified as Category 3, the most challenging. However, the group had every reason to feel confident. They'd trained for this moment, and their spirits were high as they set out on January 27th. Ironically, one member who was forced to turn back, Yuri Yudin, would later consider himself the luckiest of them all. As his friends vanished into the snowy expanse, he had no idea it would be the last time he would ever see them. The first days of the journey were arduous but uneventful. Through thick forests and over icy rivers, they made steady progress. By January 31st, they reached the base of Kholat Syakhl, a mountain whose name eerily translates to Dead Mountain in the indigenous Mansi language. The decision to pitch their tent on this exposed slope rather than moving to the more sheltered tree line has baffled investigators ever since. Some speculate they wanted to practice camping in harsh conditions, while others believe they were caught off guard by deteriorating weather. Regardless, it would be the last decision they ever made. What happened next is pieced together from scraps of evidence left behind, but the full picture remains as elusive as the cold wind sweeping across the pass. When the hikers failed to return on February 12th as planned, their families grew concerned. Initially, authorities dismissed their worries, citing the group's experience, but as days turned into weeks, the search effort intensified, and on February 26th, the first clues were found. Their tent, eerily intact yet abandoned, was discovered on the slope of Kholat Syakhl. The scene was deeply unsettling. The tent had been cut open from the inside, and all of their belongings were still neatly arranged, but the hikers were gone. A single line of footprints, some barefoot, stretched away from the campsite, leading rescuers to believe that the group had fled in terror. But from what? The search party followed the footprints to the edge of the forest, where the first 2 bodies were discovered. Yuri Durashenko and Yuri Krivonishenko lay near the remains of a small fire, dressed only in their underwear. Their skin was mottled with frostbite, and branches above them were broken, suggesting they had climbed the tree in desperation. 3 more hikers, including Igor Dyatlov himself, were found scattered between the tent and the forest. Their positions suggested they were trying to return to the campsite, but like the others, they were woefully underdressed for the frigid conditions. It wasn't until May that the remaining 4 hikers were discovered in a ravine, partially buried under snow. These bodies revealed injuries that defied explanation. Lyudmila Dubinina had her tongue missing. Others had fractured ribs and skulls. The force required to cause such trauma was compared to a car crash, yet there were no external wounds to match. Some of the bodies showed signs of radiation on their clothing, adding another layer of confusion to an already perplexing case. These weren't ordinary accidents. They spoke of events both violent and inexplicable. Adding to the mystery was the absence of any clear indication of what caused the hikers to flee their tent. Their last journal entries spoke of mundane tasks and camaraderie, nothing to suggest impending doom. What could have driven them into the deadly cold, unprotected and terrified? This is where the line between evidence and speculation begins to blur. Despite decades of investigation, the answer remains as elusive as the wind on Dead Mountain. For over 60 years, the Dyatlov Pass Incident has been the subject of endless debate. Here are the leading theories attempting to explain what happened. The official investigation pointed to an avalanche as the cause. The hikers may have cut their way out of the tent to escape collapsing snow, but critics argue that the terrain did not support typical avalanche characteristics, and their injuries remain inconsistent with this explanation. Furthermore, the tent was still partially upright when discovered, an anomaly if an avalanche had occurred. Another possibility is the katabatic winds, an intense weather phenomenon that can create near hurricane force gusts of wind. These winds might have driven the hikers into a panic, forcing them to abandon the tent. Proponents of this theory argue that the fear of a collapsing tent in such conditions could explain why they fled in disarray. Yet this does not explain the severe internal injuries or the missing tongue. Some believe that the group stumbled into a Soviet military test zone. Reports of glowing orange orbs seen in the sky lend credence to theories of missile tests or secret weaponry. Traces of radiation found on their clothing have only deepened suspicions. Others have turned to the paranormal for answers. Could UFOs have been involved, or perhaps a mythical Yeti, stalking the group in the dead of night? These theories, while sensational, struggle to account for all of the evidence, yet they persist, fueled by the sheer oddity of the case. In recent years, scientists have revisited the case with new tools and perspectives. A 2021 study suggested a rare form of slab avalanche may have caused the panic, but even this leaves unanswered questions. Advanced simulations have shed light on how snow pressure, combined with a collapsing tent, may have caused injuries similar to those seen in car crashes. But skeptics argue that this still does not explain the missing tongue, or the radiation, or the bizarre behavior evidenced by their footprints in the snow. The mystery also inspired new avenues of research, from reconstructing the hiker's route to analyzing the weather conditions that night. Modern investigations have sought to fill the gaps left by the original inquiry. Yet as technology advances, so do the questions. Could the hiker's panic have been caused by something beyond human comprehension? Even today, the Dyatlov Pass continues to attract adventurers, scientists, and conspiracy theorists alike, each seeking answers to a puzzle that refuses to be solved. The Dyatlov Pass Incident is more than just a mystery. It is a haunting reminder of how fragile human life can be in the face of nature's fury. Decades later, we find ourselves drawn to this story, not just because of the questions it raises, but because of the people at its heart. 9 vibrant souls bound together by a shared dream, were lost in a way that we still cannot explain. For the families of the victims, closure remains elusive, and for the rest of us, the Dyatlov Pass serves as a reminder that the wilderness holds secrets far older and more complex than we might ever fully grasp. Perhaps it is this unknowability that keeps the story alive. The truth may forever remain buried under the snow, but the legacy of these hikers lives on forever. What do you think happened on that freezing night in 1959? Was it nature's wrath, human error, or something far more sinister? Let me know your theories in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into one of history's most chilling unsolved mysteries, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And join us next time for another tale that will leave you questioning reality. As always, thank you for watching, and stay curious and stay safe.